Hello and good evening and welcome to The Truth Behind the Truth. Yes, indeed. Boy, it's a lot of truth behind the truth this week. A lot of stuff to talk about. Want to welcome you guys, our audience. Thank you so much for taking the time out to being a part of this wonderful broadcast each and every week at this time frame, which leads me in saying real fast, you get a chance to see us at least 2-3 times a week now. You know, because we are now rebroadcasting you for this show. You'll see it again this coming Wednesday. West Coast, East Coast time is 3 p.m. West Coast time, 12 p.m. And then a couple of our other shows you'll find out throughout the week. So you're going to get the beginning to see us 5 days a week. Yes, indeed. So we're excited about that. So if you didn't get a chance, if you do want to see the rebroadcast of the show, definitely tune in on Wednesday. Tell your friends, family members, all types of stuff. They catch us on Wednesdays now as well. That's exciting. I am so glad about that. So we bring you more truth behind the truth.
Yes, that's right. So tell your mama, your brother, your sister, and your friends. Tell the others for past and present tense.
Yes, indeed. Harold, how are you?
I'm good. I got a little something going on with my throat. I think it's allergies, but I'm doing good. We're day 9 of our 10-day juice cleanse challenge.
Okay.
Tomorrow's the final day. I kind of can't wait for it to be over because Tabitha Brown has all this new vegan stuff that I want to try.
Oh, wow.
So I'm looking forward to it being over.
You know, we love her. Her energy is so amazing.
Yeah, she is truly amazing.
Tabitha, we got to get you on the show.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I know that's right. Yeah, you make that connection happen, Harold. Get on the show. You know, but you know,
I don't know.
but hey, y'all, the vegan world kind of cross talk. You know, y'all, one person hold up a piece of, you know, one person hold up a celery, you hold up a carrot. I mean, you know, yeah. But one thing I do want to say, then we're gonna move on and check on Parnell. You know, you brought up the other day, and and we mentioned that, you know, how even though a person may be vegan, you know, everybody thinks that, you know, that being or eating vegetables, you know, in that category will make you small. Yes, it does. But then it's a very high in carbohydrate. So you still have to know how to manage that type of a diet because your carbohydrates do go up. And if you eat a lot of vegan, guess what? It's going to turn to a lot of fat. But that's okay, you know. It can't. But you have to balance out your proteins. You know, am I right earlier that you have to balance out your proteins? And the same thing is that as you would in your normal diet. And just because you are vegan or don't eat all of the other things doesn't mean that the weight control will be always under control. You know, because there's a lot of them out there that's vegan. You're like, okay.
Well, because even Oreo cookies are considered vegan. So I mean,
they are.
It just depends on, you know, what you're eating. And just because you're vegan doesn't mean you're healthy, because there's a lot of vegan food that's highly processed.
Yeah.
Like I was so surprised, like those Beyond Burgers. I was so surprised at the amount of sodium.
Yeah, they are. They are very low.
Is in those patties. It's really high in sodium. So you know, you really have to pay attention to labels and just make sure you know what you're taking.
What you're doing. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, as in anything, you know, it's processing, you know, and then anything of that nature has to be able, if you're selling it in a grocery market or whatever, it has to have some sort of ingredient to keep it from, you know, from spoiling. You know, salt is salt of the earth. You know, at the end of the day, it keeps everything. You know,
it's a preservative. Salt is a preservative.
That's what I was looking for, preservative. You know, so it's going to have a lot of, you know, sodium in it. You know,
is that why a lot of people would rather you go to either a place of Trader Joe's or anything that has some form of a fresh market type of deal, because you know, right, in our food we just have so much preservatives. There's so much that we having to deal with when we eat processed foods in America. And then on top of that, you know, it's the amount of food that we take in as well. Junk food is at best, you know, this food is everywhere. It's plentiful.
Right.
But we just consume whatever we see. And in other countries, that's not always the case. That's why in places of Europe, you was telling me that the portions of food are totally different from the food portions that we get here over in the United States.
Absolutely.
You know?
We're going to talk about it. Let me just take a Parnell real quick, and then we'll go ahead and
on
our vegan conversation. Go ahead, Parnell. How you doing, brother?
I am doing great. You know, like everybody, making it through this rain that we got out here.
Yeah, you know, it's like woo, got some rain going on. You know,
we definitely need it because they were always warning us about, you know, coming up on a drought. So this week or so that it's been raining has been very much needed.
Yes. I stepped in a puddle on the way home today. I was like,
yeah. Oh, a puddle. I mean, several along the way.
But
we're doing good. Hey, we are okay. You know, like Parnell said, the weather's been kind of. I enjoy this type of weather. Yes. I miss this type of weather from the East Coast, but you know, there's been a lot of storms going on this past week. You know, and I'm just gonna mention, you know, those who do know there was a tornado that hit in the state of Alabama and some parts of Georgia, and I just want to send condolences to the families that.
Since your uncle, it's your uncle that has transitioned. Unfortunately, I mean, you want me to share, or if you want,
I because of that tornado that hit out there in Selma and in some parts of Watauga County, which is there's a little community that's 15 minutes. Well, I think it's more than 15 minutes away from where I'm from, Old Kingston. My uncle Solomon Smith. He transitioned because of the tornado that hit out there in that area. And I want everybody who's watching this live to pray for my family and to send support. Yes. I'm sending support to my Auntie Mary out there and my mom. I'm sending support to you too. But just, you know, pray for us because it's been a trying time for us. This has been a shock. Yes. But we're getting through this because, you know, we have to. Right. But other than that, though, I just, you know, I send prayers to his family, and you know, and I want to say this about my Uncle Solomon. My Uncle Solomon, you know, he was one of those uncles that if you ever needed a good laugh, he was worth having a conversation with. Right. But we're gonna miss that energy in our family. He was that type of energy. So I just, you know,
of course, our condolences to you and your family, darling.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know, there's always you know me. I always try to find a good spin on something. You know, when tragedy, and this was very, I think a very tragic way of departing. You know, I mean, at the end of the day. But we were discussing that this morning, and I always am one of you guys know me that I always try to find the liberty in when a person leaves. You know, there's always a reason that I'm under firm belief, whether everybody believe it or not. But I believe that when a person knows when they're going to transition. It's not a conversation that they have with people around them, but you know, I've had too many instances in my life that I can speak to that, especially on my mom's behalf, you know, I mean, and things like that. And it's not about that, but I just wanted to say that, and I was trying to comfort him this morning about that. I said, no matter how he transitioned, he was prepared that day to go. And he agreed to go, you know, because you look at the circumstances in which he transitioned and the resistance of having to be in a better place, you know, be in a more comfortable place. He refused. So I just like to put the fact in that, you know, he made peace, you know, with his creator, how, you know, you want to, you know, approach that, and understood that this was the way he was going to transition out. You know, because there's always that decision factor, you know, and we don't know how that conversation that he had, you know, during that moment, during that hour, during that week, you know, but the celebratory part behind it is that, and yes, from looking at it, yes, it's tragic, but the celebratory behind it is that he made that peace, and he made that peace comfortably in the way that he decided to go, you know, and maybe it's a point that we dig in and we look at helping others in that community to pay more attention to the signals, to make sure that they're aware, because I think that's a more of a trailer park community anyway. They, you know, when those warnings come, people move. You know what I'm saying? Just get out of the way. You know what I'm saying? And find your place of comfort and shelter, either your neighbors or somewhere around in that aspect of it. So maybe through his, you know, transition, that the conversation in the community will be a little bit more stronger. You know. You know, and that is the truth. Exactly. That, well, I say that is the truth behind the truth. But anyway, I don't know if it's time for a break yet. No, I don't think yet. We got a couple minutes. Okay, I didn't see the signal. But anyway, so just kind of moving on just a little bit more, since we're in that vein. But we do want to go ahead and mention about Lisa Marie Presley real fast. You know, before we go to break. You know, very shocking. You know, again, another shocking transition. You know, because she was just at the Golden Globes. You know, and honoring the guy that played. You know, that played Elvis, played her dad. You know. And whatever the case may be. So, you know, we send the condolences to, you know, her children, you know, and then of course Priscilla, her mom, you know, in regards to that, because anytime somebody transitions, it's never, you know, the comfortable moment. And that's a shock factor. But the one thing that, since we started off the show talking about health, you know, and things like that, one of the things that maybe, Harold, I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but I think we talked about this in our meeting, just to mention maybe some juicing that can help frame the way the blood goes through your heart and, or manages your blood pressure. Because the one thing that, when cardiac arrest happens, it is a immediate jolt difference in the heart, and then and it's just like this point where the heart starts accepting the blood that should be going through it. So they have to shock the heart to bring it back to that point. So, but one of the things that may have, I'm going to say allegedly, had led her up to this is because she did have a history with drug abuse. And see, when you abuse your body over so many years, or whatever those situations may be, it puts you in this frame of mind. And women are the highest when it comes to heart disease, or transition of heart attacks and things of that nature. So I'm just saying to those that have alleged drug activities in your life, get that under control. Talk to your doctor, talk to your juicer, or whatever, or your wellness therapist, to get your life in order so that this situation doesn't necessarily occur to you. At the end of the day. But Harold, go ahead and just talk about a little bit of that juicing.
Well, I was just going to say though, not only did Lisa Marie die of cardiac arrest, Tristan Thompson, the NBA player, his mom died. She was only 49. Lisa Marie was only 54.
Right.
And then the football player who had, cardiac arrest.
Right.
And, cardiac arrest is the leading cause of death for both men and women.
Right.
Last year, close to 700,000 people died of cardiac arrest.
Right.
And it's the result. It can sometimes be genetic.
Yes.
It could also be lifestyle, because we know that things like high blood pressure, diabetes, and even stress are all contributing factors to cardiac arrest and heart issues. Not to mention, substance abuse.
Right.
But it's something that, in some instances that we can control and impact, and have a better outcomes and not have to deal with that. And a lot of it does have to do with diet as well, because so much of what we eat has all the saturated fat in it and just things that elevate our cholesterol levels. And we know all that is related to, heart disease. And, unfortunately, it seems like a lot of times, folks don't realize until it happens, because these people were young and seemingly, healthy, and this happened.
Right.
Wow.
Got you.
Wow.
Yeah. And appreciate that, definitely the word there. I mean, it is something that we really need to be aware of, and stress is the number one factor. I think what hits everybody in this country around the world.
Yeah.
But we will maybe pick this up when we get back from break. I think we need to transition on to something else when we come out of break. But anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in tonight. We'll be right back after this break.
Yeah.
Hey, my name is Thurston, and here I have my CEO, son Langston. We specialize in junk removal, dumpster rental, and demolition. So if you need junk removed,
call Junk Stars.
You need dumpster rentals,
call Junk Stars.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into The Truth Behind the Truth. Yeah. We're excited to have you tonight. Now, one quick point, then we're going to wrap this up with Damar Hamilton, his successful recovery coming out of it. But I do want to say to you guys, make sure you tune into The Truth Behind the Truth next week. Guess what? Because we are all going to be live in the same room. Ooh, we have wonderful Harold will be in LA next week with us, and live will be in the studio. Yes. It's going to be something great. So make sure you get your popcorn, your wine, whatever you need. It's going to be a good time. All right. Yeah. But we're going to be live in the studio, next week. All right. So make your time available. You know what the appointed times are. All right. And I do want to mention again, you have the opportunity to check us out throughout the week now. This broadcast will air again on Wednesday, and one of our previous broadcasts will hit you doing throughout different times throughout the week. So yeah, you got Truth Behind Truth everywhere you turn. That's the goal. Anyway, one of the missions we forget about Damar Hamlin and his recovery and doing so well coming from cardiac arrest on the football field. Most of you have been following his recovery. So kudos to the doctor. Kudos to our creator for helping this young man revive and get himself back. And it's still going to be a road for him to get back to where he once was. But at least he's still on this side, being able to fight. So we're really glad for him in that aspect of it. So let's go and move on. Let's talk. It's time to buzz. We're going to buzz. I'm sorry.
I'm about to say what we're going to boogie to.
No more sugar for JB. No more.
Music at
one point. You felt that thing. JB.
This is a good way to say it because I know. They talk about the Golden Globes is like one of the most parties time of the award season that goes on because it's the one that they could be on the show drinking. Okay. So,
yes.
So they sit in the audience.
They get lit.
They drink. So did we have a little buzz today? We didn't have a buzz today, but anyway. But so this is the time for us to talk about drinking as well. So about the Golden Globes. But anyway, we'll talk about the Golden Globes. Great show this year. I mean, it really was. I must say, for them to come back and redeem themselves. Okay, Hollywood Foreign Press. I mean, they have not had a good, reputation. Couple of years. I have to say real quick, you guys can point out about the winners, about how Whoopi, my girl. I just have to give Whoopi. I know everybody got a lot of controversy about it, but Whoopi, when she was asked, the question, why was the Hollywood Foreign Press all of a different color? Okay, and she really did not directly answer that question. She was just like, well, that's just the way it's been, and that was like, I think that was just kind of saving face at the point of putting it out there, But like I think we said last week, Parnell, it's just like now they had an opportunity to change the color wheel, which was good. But shout out to our winners. You want to mention about the first winner, Parnell?
Oh, well, I guess I got to talk about Miss Angela Bassett.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about her because, first of all, 64 where?
Right.
Right.
64?
Right.
It's like, come on. And that speech of, she said, making history as the first Golden Globe winner that Marvel Studios has ever had.
Yeah.
That is really showing the impact of the Black Panther movies.
Yes.
That it's not just entertainment, but the social messaging of a powerful African nation that had never been conquered and colonized.
Right.
One of the most advanced and richest civilizations in the Marvel universe. And to see that people really responded to that message of how well that cast handled saying their goodbye to Chadwick Boseman.
Yes.
And the emotional catharsis that was for them. And as a lot of people have mentioned, the whole Black Latino connection that happened in that film with both Wakanda and I forget the nation that
I know what you're talking about, but
Tlaloc or whatever. But that whole thing that they're just like, hey, we are both fighting against being colonized. It's because if they come for me, they're coming for you. If they come for you, they're coming for me. We've seen how that issue works.
Right.
And I think that message really responded to people, and just from a mother. And, mourning the death of her son, her husband, and possibly her daughter. Sorry, spoiler for anybody who hasn't seen the film yet, but, It's been months. You'd have caught it by now. When she talks about, have I not given everything?
Yeah.
It's amazing. So kudos to Angela. And that speech was amazing.
Yes.
You know, Angela's always a moment. You know, anytime she
yes.
steps to the microphone, you know something powerful is going to happen.
Yes. It's something about her and Viola Davis that, you know, when they have their moment, you know that something inspirational is going to come out of their mouths. Right. But you know what? I want to give it up to Eddie Murphy because he won the honorary. Well, he didn't win it, but he was honored the Cecil B. DeMille Award, which is an honorary award for all of that has happened within his career in the past decades as a legend.
And I'm laughing at his speech. That was just so good. If you didn't see his speech, you need to go back and catch that on YouTube real fast. Okay, good. I just want to bring that in.
But it's just, his speech of, you know, and for longevity, his example of having a longevity, you know, of career is to mind your business, pay your taxes, and to keep out of your mouth. That was so damn epic. I have to say, nobody knew he was going to do that or say that, and everybody was sitting on the edge of their chairs. Like, you could see people who were like the young artists that were like, "What is the key for longevity?" Like, he was going to say something, and they just fell flat into that. But also, anybody who is a Whitney Houston fan. Now, Gerard Carmichael, I love you to death. I don't love you to death because I don't know you. But I want to say this, y'all. When it boils down to your comedy, your you know, to get a good laugh, that's just not mentioning somebody's death in a hotel room where they, because you know where they held the Golden Globes was the Beverly, last place Whitney had passed. So he mentioned that in one of his comedy bits. And
what did he say?
Well, he said we're at the Beverly Hilton, you know, the place that killed Whitney Houston.
Yes.
And I'm like, everybody's like, for real, bro? Seriously?
That's like real poor taste.
And my thing is, why? And listen, I'm very biased when it comes down to talent, but Black talent. I'm tired of Black talent disrespecting other Black legends like that in a full of diverse room, in a diverse place like that, a diverse ceremony, because it's time that we stop doing that to each other. I felt offended because of that. Because what
was the audience reaction? What was the audience reaction?
I think they were in gas. I think they were all like, wow, like, did you really, you know? But it's just, you know, that is just not a good look. And we need to stop doing that to each other. I got really offended when, you know, Chris Rock did that to Jada at the Oscars. I just feel like there's a time and place for everything, but let's just stop downing our people like that in front of people, in front of diverse, you know, people. That doesn't give us a good look. I'm just saying.
No,
I'm just saying, truth behind the truth, it makes us look second rate.
Exactly. I totally agree.
I'm just saying.
Of course, we do have our big winners with Abbott Elementary.
Yes.
Quinta Brunson. Thank you. Yes. Quinta. God bless her. God bless her.
I think one of the great things about Quinta is just like, you know, I mean, well, we're going to mention Sherry Stokes.
Yeah, we're going to mention Sherry Shepherd.
There we go. Yes, you know, one thing that's great about Quinta, I mean, she took a risk, you know, for going out there, putting herself out there, and they bought the script, and she has been successful. I mean, what else to you have to say to bring such a good show, such great comedic, you know, comedic timing, you know, on the show, and to combine the what is it? What do they call it? Part of the talking to the camera at the same time. The third person. The third person. Yeah. That's just brilliant. You know, to bring that back in that setting, that is so brilliant.
The content is so brilliant because not only does she have adults in that show that is talking, she has the children. Everybody makes up the show. The students, the teachers. It's just like everybody is coming together to make a great, great show, and it's so inspirational to see that type of content on primetime.
Yes,
and for her to write something like that, it's just legendary. I mean, it's just. I'm like, girl, yes.
With a predominantly Black female cast.
Yeah.
You know, the leads is like, 3 Black women, 2 Black men, you know, 1 white man, 1 white woman here, but they all come together to make this show a universal experience. Like these teachers could have been any ethnicity, any gender, but that fact is not lost that we were seeing like these Black folks being shown out there. So we can do this kind of situational comedy too, where it's not that shucking and jiving sort of comedy, but it's that whole thing of just like these characters really could be any color, any gender.
That's true. That's brilliant, right?
And our brother Tyler James Williams.
James Williams also, yes. Yes,
indeed. Him grow up, a lot of actors haven't made that transition from child actor to adult actor,
right,
without drama and drug use and abusive situations or whatever. He's one of those people who was able to manage that. Although I did read an article where he had been hospitalized somewhere in between Everybody Hates Chris and I think his appearance on The Walking Dead. Was it Crohn's disease or something that was going on? That he was really having a lot of issues, that he went to therapy, and a lot of that was just the anxiety, that you feel of making this transition from childhood actor. What do I do now? Is my career over? How do I make this happen? And trying to keep your nose clean, literally and figuratively, so that you don't become one of those statistics, and then once he addressed that and went to therapy, he's like, okay, you are not what you do.
Right.
You are who you are as a person. And those symptoms cleared up. And he's like, oh, okay, now I can handle this. And so it's very interesting, here, I'm sure you know this as well, that whole mind, body, spirit connection brings about the whole health picture. If one is lacking, the rest of it starts kind of wavering and your house can't stand strong and tall. So you got to all work a way to balance it all. But so happy for him.
I am too.
You don't want to give him.
Y'all gonna make me go watch this show. I've never seen this show, so I'm gonna have to go watch this.
Oh my gosh! You know what? You need to watch this show. Okay, it's really good. But I wanted to say,
can I find it on YouTube? Is it on YouTube?
Yeah, you should.
Okay.
I think you should. Or either one of the. All right, our engineer said you're fired, hero. But I do want to give a shout out to Tyler again for being when he was on The Walking Dead. Oh my God, he was so good in that transition on The Walking Dead. For coming from seeing that, and I hated to see his character die on The Walking Dead. When he was
the way he died. Oh my God.
Yeah. I hated to see it, but Walking Dead is about killing everybody anyway. But still, I hated to see that. Happened to him on The Walking Dead show, and after having worked on The Walking Dead, 4th season, okay,
But you know what? So, but you know what you
talking
about?
Walking Dead or here, Walker. I'm sorry.
No, but you're talking about transitioning within a career. But he did that movie Billie Holiday, the Billie Holiday story, the U.S. Versus Billie Holiday. But the fact that he did that, and plus this show, and then to hold a show on his own as a kid, and everybody's hating Chris. Right. That right there is a testament to somebody's career.
Right.
But let's go on to one of the greatest news. Well, I don't want to call it the greatest news, but let's just say this: if you ain't got this book, you need to go get it, because I've been hearing that it's good. Okay. Y'all do know Prince Harry wrote that book, Despair.
Yes.
It's now considered one of the fastest selling non-fiction books of all time. And it has sold 1.43 million copies in the UK, as well as the US, as well as Canada.
Wow.
And it has outsold Obama's book.
Wow.
So it's a lot in that book.
Well, be honest of course, you are our history
philosopher.
So you can kind of get along in the story.
Well, I can say this. It's not a dig at the royal family, but it does give you him the foundation to wake them up to what's going on, especially as a family dealing with people outside the family, the media.
Right.
Because what has happened, which has happened since he was born with his mother, Princess Diana, everybody know that the royal family is the glue to the government that happens over there in the UK. Whatever happens with the royal family is a government situation too. So, them being the first family in the UK, they are, put on a pedestal, and plus they are monarchy. But the fact is the facts. They are family. Things happen within families. There are always feuds, marriage problems, sibling problems. Then, there's a lot of stuff entails when it boils to the media that infiltrates on that. So in Harry's book, he's just waking them up to the fact that, listen, y'all, this is what's going on, and this is what y'all need to really open your eyes to. You're destroying yourselves by dealing with the media that is destroying us.
Yes.
And that is dividing us. And listen, I'm not here to jab you, but this is my story. This is what I had to deal with. This is what I had to deal with because of my mother being dead and me going off the war to deal with that and going into therapy for mental illness, because the guy was suffering. But until he married Meghan, he found himself, which he revealed.
Right.
He found somebody who understood him, who listened to him. Right. And because of that, he became a success in his own way, in his own right. Even though before he married her, he was a success. But it took that union to really show him that there are better opportunities outside of this family. Wow. So I need to do what I need to do to protect her and my children and move away.
We're going to pick that up right after this break. Guys, we'll be right back after this break. See you in a second. All right. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning into The Truth Behind the Truth. Want to remind you, definitely go to our webpage, www.thetruthbehindthetruthproductions.com. All right? Got to get that productions with the S on the end. The S on the end. Productions, okay? You never get there if you don't put the S on the end. All right?
Emphasis on the S.
Yeah, because they say sometimes they say we put the shit on the end. So I mean, like, it's like
don't do that.
Don't do that. So we don't want that on the end, all right? But the S goes on the end. But I do want to real quick just go back to what you were saying about Harry and Meghan, okay? And this is a little quick journey, real fast. I wanted to say that the day that they got married, I don't know if anybody remembered seeing that, or if you can kind of travel back in your mind, the day of their wedding. I remember I had dropped him off at work on that particular day, and I was like scrambling to try to see the whole event. But I ended up seeing the event in the car. I watched what I shouldn't have, but on the phone. But the point I'm making about it is that when she stepped out of the car, in front of the church, me personally had this epiphany, at that moment. And y'all know me, I cried hard at that heartbeat, but that's a spiritual thing, that happens. But I was crying in the car. Okay, but I knew that her life was going to represent something very strong and very powerful, and by her marrying into the family, that there was going to be something magnificent, and we haven't seen it yet, but there are a lot of magnificent pieces that are being pulled together. It seems like things that are at an odd, but I can say this much: you can count it on The Truth Behind the Truth. What night is this? The whatever day this is.
The 14th of
January. That I said it. Okay, you go back and check it. That Meghan is not done. No. Okay, and I'm telling you, from here to the Royal Palace, Meghan is not done. There's going to be a great rising for her. okay, and a great shift, you know, like almost like was the Queen Charlotte, the impact that she had back way back in there. That's another story about all of that. But get your boots on, get ready, okay, because it's not done. And Meghan is a very powerful entity that's going to happen in that family. That's why she's a part of it. Very, very powerful entity.
And let me tell you something, Harold. This is even historical. You live in North Carolina. How far do you live in? You live in Charlotte, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that it's named after Queen Charlotte. They consider her the Queen Charlotte, King George III, the king that
Mad King.
The king that we left when we became an independent country.
Right.
So because of her, there was an embargo in the slavery in the transatlantic slave situation with the trade of sugar cane. In the North Carolinas and Virginia colonies, they planted sugar cane and they sent it back. This was before cotton. She boycotted that. She was one of the first people who boycotted that because of the slave trade and all of that. So she was one of the first candidates of England abolishing their slave trade before, I think, 1830.
Wow.
So that's a history moment. History moment. Yeah.
Exactly.
Look into it. There's a reason for everything.
Yes.
And she was one of the reasons why we lost that connection with the UK when it boiled down to the transatlantic situation with the slave trade. Yeah, I just want to put that out there.
No, because it's
about that.
It's a great point to transition.
A black queen did that at least.
It's a great point.
So that's why you call it the Queen City. I had no idea. That's
Queen Charlotte.
Queen Charlotte.
Yeah. Wow.
It has a.
And I love her fictionalized representation on Bridgerton.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And there, I know because historically, Queen Charlotte, they describe her as very fair skinned, but having black features. And you look at her, like most of us go like, oh yeah, that's a sister. I see it in here. But I love how in Bridgerton they have really there is no doubt about it. This is a black woman, and how her presence as the queen uplifts the standing of all the black people in the UK around this. So I mean, that's great that this world that we see all these people of different ethnicities, all in different stations in life, from royalty to peasantry. It's like, hey, let's quote unquote spread the wealth. We see a little bit of everybody here, and it's not a huge topic that's brought up. I mean, I remember the first season they kind of talked about a little bit that they addressed is like, hey, yes, the fact that Queen Charlotte is in power elevates all of us, but at any moment they could change their mind, so let's take advantage of this standing and be as effective as we can right now, so that should the winds of change turn, that we have still made some gains there. And I think that's an important lesson to learn. And with the second season, having the main characters also be women of color.
Right, exactly.
Yes,
exactly.
Come on, let's tell these stories where it's black and brown skinned people being celebrated and romanticized. It's awesome.
Well, the one thing exactly. I know the one thing is beautiful again about Bridgerton, and everything else. But what I love about it, and in it all, is that it takes away from the stigma of thinking that people of color have not been deposited all over this planet. Okay, and we need to get away from that. I mean, I'm speaking to people of color because our people of color of our lighter persuasion, they understand it. And oh my gosh, it's another point. I'm sorry, my mind's going to another point. But one thing I want to bring about the critical race theory. So critical race theory. Okay, hold that point. But I'm gonna get back to what I'm saying right now. So, but just in involving itself, that we have been here, we are here, and we are going to be here. At the end of the day. So transitioning into the point where we didn't finish our discussion last week, was about the slave Bible, which is kind of right at this pier right here, guys. Okay, I know Parnell, you had a couple of points you wanted to bring up about that. I'm trying to be delicate about this.
Don't be delicate. Go ahead and say it.
That's not the name of the show. The delicacy name is
we're the truth behind the truth. Okay, we're not the delicate behind the truth. Okay,
right.
All right. Black Christianity. Okay, y'all need to cut the shit out.
Oh,
okay, I'm serious. Okay, because what y'all have done is that you have created bondage for your people. Okay, read, study, Do your investigation. Learn your history. Okay, and learn the purpose of your history. Okay, it is not based upon these fictitious stories that have been put out, that has evolved from a book that has just been put out in front of you to tell you that you are less than nothing. Okay, you are from your creator, the greatest creation that God, or however you want to look at, has created. You need to see yourself thus be, period. At the end of the day, let all that other stuff go. Let it go. Okay, and find out who your authenticity is. You are authentic people. You have been created to be authentic. You are here to be successful. Okay, please be successful and take it. Read the scriptures to what they do to enlighten your life, not to destroy your life. Okay, I'm gonna shut up. Go ahead, Parnell. Because I can say more, but I'm gonna shut up.
That was delicate. That was delicate.
Well, it is, like I was saying last week, how we talk about when people talk about Christianity being the white man's religion or whatever.
Yes.
I mean, in the way that it was handed down to the slaves here in America, and what was taught to the Africans when the missionaries went over there, they left all the liberation stuff out. It was really just about obey your master this and be obedient that and blah, blah, blah. And you're supposed to live poor, your reward is coming. And so, yes, in that sense, yes, that is the white man's version. But what I love is like, I forget the woman who was in her car, did a little video on TikTok. She's like, name something that you think is in the Bible that's not in the Bible. And this woman comes on, this white lady comes on. She's like, white people. But y'all already had that conversation.
Wow.
And it's just the whole thing of like, when you break it down, what was happening in that part of the world at that time, white people were not there.
Right. Exactly.
When we talk about these people, those were not white people. And we can argue whether they were African or black or whatever, but we do know they weren't white. Right. Not over there, not in the Middle East or Northeast Africa.
Right.
And ain't no indigenous white people from there.
Right. Exactly.
That happened later on. So it's just like, well, people, what about the Romans? I'm like, everybody Roman was not white. We're all American. Ain't none of us white.
Right.
But that doesn't change the fact that we're American. Just like we have, there are black Parisians, there are black Spaniards, there are black Italians, there are black Mexicans, there are black Chinese.
Right.
So that it's very interesting to kind of see how the originators have kind of been reeled out of it. And I'm in there because I know we got to go on our next break.
No, you're good. You're good. I don't think we're ready for a break yet. I haven't got the signal, so we can keep on talking.
But you know what? But go ahead. Go on. I want him to Harold to say something. Because Harold, I think want to say something.
Go ahead, Harold. I'm sorry.
I didn't want to say nothing about that. No. I didn't want to say nothing about that. I said what I said last week. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
But you know what? I just wish we understand that the historical significance of the church is, especially with the black church, has been a powerful foundation within our community. But also in other ways, it has also had ways of cultural control. And also systematic control, because I wanted to say this and explain myself in the last situation. There was a situation after slavery where the white people, the politicians that control certain communities and certain towns within the South, they had people sit in our churches and listen to pastors speak.
Oh, yes.
And they will tell the pastors, you cannot mention this to your parishioners because we do not want no situation within our community. So in other ways, that was our downfall, because there were pastors who fell for the okie doke. And you had people like Martin Luther King that was telling them, stop falling for the okie doke and tell the truth. Tell our people the truth. Stop hiding behind this. So you know what? And that's always been the case within our churches. We allow politicians to come into our black churches and tell black folks how to vote, what to sing, how to work. They still do that.
Yes,
we still have conferences that still come through and visit churches and have them send over. Hey, and I'm getting into church business because my mom is a pastor, so I have seen this. I've seen them come into churches and say, hand me over your tax on your W-2s and all this other crazy stuff, And the saddest thing about it is we do that because that's them controlling still the narrative within our communities. So I hate to say it though. I mean, we have to do better. We have to own our own narrative in our own religion. And plus we got to stop preaching from a time of oppression.
Right.
Because when we sing songs like "Let's Go Back to the Old Landmark," what are we talking about?
Right. What landmark?
What are we talking about? But that's what I want to say. We got to get away from that old timeable person and speak into a new generation. Speak life into a new generation and truth. I'm just saying.
That's the root of the respectability politics. You know that, well, for us to be successful, we have to dress a certain way that white people find acceptable. Our hair has to be styled a way that white people find acceptable. You know, it's just kind of like, no, we don't have to keep doing that. We need to set our trend of what blackness is, and not it doesn't have to be acceptable to anybody else other than black people. So we can wear our hair the way we want to, we can dress the way we want to, we can speak in ways that aren't quote unquote the Queen's English, and still, I mean, it helps. I mean, I'm all for educated speech. You see the way I speak. I'm all for it.
Please be. You know. Okay, please be. Yeah, definitely.
As a boy, Conscious Lee says on Instagram all the time, education is elevation. So I'm all for education, but it doesn't mean the way somebody speaks does not mean that they don't understand what's going on. I mean, you know, Cardi B has been a great example of she's street and she's hood, but underneath that's like what she says, she understands what's going on. You know, she may not have this high elevated vernacular to state what she's saying, but she's like, this is how I can say it so the people who are in the neighborhood with me understand what's going on. Because when you speak up here, the folks down here are just like, I don't know what those words mean. You know, but when you have somebody like, okay, this is what's going on, blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh, why didn't you just say that? Like, okay.
Right.
You know, but they know that religion plays such a church play a certain significance into our community. Because if they did not know, why would, I mean, I'm just saying, if they knew that foundation was not important, why bomb it or blow it up or burn it down?
Right.
Because if you think of it, in order to attack the black community, you have to burn down something that seems of some importance. So you burn down a church. You bomb a church. That man that went into South Carolina church and killed all those 6 people and a Bible study. He knew what he was doing because that has always been the significance within our community, the church. In order to destroy them, you have to go into a place of importance. Go inside their churches and burn it up.
That's true.
And
you know what? I'm so glad that I didn't discover God in the church. And so my perspective on the Bible and God is totally different because that's not where I found God. I didn't grow up in church. And so I don't have a lot of those preconceived and those limited perspectives. I discovered God in my house, in my apartment. That's how
that's the best way to discover him too. I mean, Robbie, I want you to finish with your point with that. We got to go to a quick break. We're gonna keep this discussion going a little bit further when we get back from break. All right. See y'all in a second.
Well, maybe not.
Well, you know, I ended up having a little difficulty because of the weather. So, you know, we if he pops up, we'll pop up. We'll come back anyway. But finish your point, Harold. What you're saying?
No, that was just my point. So I didn't grow up, you know, thinking that the Bible was everything. I didn't grow up thinking that God was this vengeful God. I just didn't have that experience in that context. And I know so many people who have that, and it's so hard to lose that when you are brought up that way. It's so hard to lose that when you're brought up that way. But that was not my experience.
Yeah. Well, I want to piggyback. Very good point. I want to piggyback just on what you were saying, Parnell, a minute ago, and you know, that's a lot. I'm trying to narrow it down here. You know, I think what has happened. Okay, I love the point where you mentioned about speech. You know, Parnell. You know, I mentioned that and the articulation about speech and what have you. One of the concerns, okay, in that area is the way that this information was brought to our group of people or into the sector of churches. Okay. So it may not have necessarily been said in a manner of involvement. So maybe the broken vernacular there, maybe the broken English was there, and they carried that over, unfortunately, okay, and didn't allow themselves to elevate them to a better place to bring it clearer. So what has happened is they made a shrine around that whole understanding. Okay. And therefore that shrine kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it perpetuated the lie versus the truth behind the truth. You see, and because of speech and because of all those other type of things. So I think speech is a very, very important factor in how you deliver something, especially in the context of where people believe their whole life is centered. It has to come from a very strong place of true understanding, and unfortunately has not been presented in a place of true understanding. It has not, at the end of the day. And just breaking it down to the point where what you were saying, which is very beautiful, because yes, the black worship experience from Sunday to Sunday. Martin Luther King is all, one of his basic things said the greatest segregation time in America is the Sunday, between hours 11 and whatever 1 o'clock that you get out of service. But that's the most segregated time, which it should be the most together time, because it should be under the headship of our Creator, but it's not. But anyway, but from that, it has been the information path line to the community, and we talk about this all the time, that it has failed at being the information to the community, because it's been all about the tangible. It's all been about how much money it can grab and all this other type of thing, and making people feel bad about who they are. And I know some of y'all gonna challenge me, well, my church don't do this. Well, I understand maybe your church don't. Okay, at the end of the day, or your service, where you go, they may not. Kudos for them. Celebrate them. Okay, but there's a lot out there to do. Okay, and I talk to people on a day-to-day basis that are still going through these tragic mental positions in their life, over what they're being heard on a regular basis. And we can get into that if we want to. But we got a break. I'll be right back. All right, and we are back, guys. Thank you for tuning in to The Truth Behind the Truth tonight. Yes. We are always glad to have you be a part of it. And please, I didn't tell you at the top of the show, make sure you share, like, and share, and subscribe, okay? Because that's the only way you're going to get to know when we come live, on our broadcast. Do want to remind you that there are more options to be able to view the show. You can share it with your friends and family member about seeing us throughout the week. Just like and subscribe. We will come on and you'll see this show repeated on Wednesday night. Then we have some of our previous shows you'll see different times throughout the week. So we're making an effort to be in front of you every day of the week. Okay, just like The View. All right, or better than The View, because this is our view. And I also want to remind you, next week's show, oh my gosh, it'll be the 4 of us together in the same room again. We're looking forward to that. It's going to be a great conversation. So we're looking forward to that as well. Want to kind of bring this to a close with, I wanted to mention tonight about the critical race thinking, because it's kind of going into segue into what we've been talking about. There was this one of the, I'm sure you probably saw Parnell on the news, one of the school districts, out here in LA had a vote the other day to remove the critical race thinking out of the school system in their area. They didn't want, slavery to be taught to, the general masses. And the children, well, they are children, but the students protested in very heavy method. And here's the thing about it. It was just not the Black students, which was so beautiful to see. I believe there is actually more Caucasian and other ethnicities that were protesting, to have it, because they want to learn. We do have a generation now that is out there that wants to learn, about that, and not have a negative approach, but the right approach, about an approach. But I know I got to wrap. But make your point real quick. I know we all want to say something about that real fast, and I'll get my wrap up to that.
Oh, I thought we were getting ready to acknowledge Jennifer Hudson and Sherry Shepherd for getting renewal.
Thank you for that. All right, we'll talk about critical race thinking next show. Okay, well, we do need to acknowledge our sisters.
Let's celebrate our sisters.
Yes, great point. Thank you, Harold, for reminding us of that. Want to give a big shout out to Sherri Shepherd. Oh my God, I think
2 seasons.
Just second season, I think Sherri has, she is just a joy to watch.
Yes, she is.
You know what I'm saying? Her show has been a joy. It's been laughter every time, I think, because she's a hilarious comedian, at the end of the day.
Yes.
But I give her kudos. Thank you, Fox or whomever that's getting her, getting her going. Maybe we'll be right side her, hey, Sherri, then the Truth Behind the Truth, or Truth Behind the Truth, and Sherri, one of them, okay?
Yes.
And then we want to give a shout out to Jennifer Hudson as well. Yes. She has been picked up for a second season
as well. Keep singing, baby. It's keeping your show on. Keep singing.
So we're so glad to see.
I'm being funny, y'all. I'm being funny.
To be very successful, in all of that. I'm really cool. Wow, Parnell and Dylan have had the opportunity to go to the Jennifer Hudson show a couple times, and it's really great, seeing the art of what she has to do to put the show together.
Yeah, she's really good.
It's really good. So it's kind of giving us the inside of what we need to get ready for. You know what I'm saying? Every day, every week, however we're gonna do it. Keep singing. Oh, okay, whatever.
Bust out of the song every once in a while.
Exactly. But anyway, so again, we want to wish everybody again a happy New Year. Okay, again, as you can still, we're still in that celebration of playing.
Yeah.
I don't know, what was our controller doing? Who was that?
He was Jennifer Hudson.
Let's see that picture of Jennifer Hudson again.
I can tell that. That's Jennifer Hudson.
Is that Jennifer? That's not the new Jennifer.
That's the thinnest I've ever seen.
That was a younger Jennifer. Now Jennifer at the Golden Globes. Oh my gosh, she had that mirror gold dress on.
Yes, she did.
She looked simply awesome in that dress. She looked really, really good. Fabulous in the Golden Globes.
Talk about a black moment in television. Angela Bassett, baby.
Ain't got one Billy Porter.
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah, I know this. Thank goodness Billy Porter didn't get on. That was your friend.
Because he would have opened like,
anyway.
Yes, girl, yes, Lord. It would have been all types of singing and ripping and running and whatnot.
I liked his red version of the black tuxedo suit.
Yeah, that was nice. That was nice.
I was like, okay.
We expected a lot from him, but that was okay. That one kind of went. I thought it was gonna be some feathers and anyway.
Oh Lord, you know what?
But anyway, let me do my rap so we can get ready to go. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. We just want to keep you encouraged. Number one, we talk about variations of subjects today. Find yourself in that subject, get liberty from that particular subject, move forward to make your life more authentic is what I'm trying to say, and knowing that you are enough to make everything happen in society that you need to do for your own life, okay? Because we are here to encourage you. We're here to lift you up, all right? And do that. Whether it's moving the transition from the slave Bible to critical race theory, to all of those things, find yourself. And to our white audience, we love you guys. We want you to help us spread this message, okay? Because the unity and the love we all need to have together, all right? Guys, we will see you next week, all right? Live in the same room. We're going to be vibing. We may be slapping each other, something. I don't know. Maybe because we're so glad to see each other in the same spot. But anyway, y'all have a powerful night. Thank you for tuning in to The Truth. I'm the Truth. Have a good night.